Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and we as human beings are born with inbuilt sense of appreciating beauty of this world, and people whom we refer to as creative are probably in a better position to appreciate the beauty and grandeur and the greatness and the glory of this world. Especially when someone happens to have exposure of various countries and various cultures, that qualifies this young guest of mine today to become a creative consultant. Born in Israel, now in America, traveling, transition inside from the space of running after birds to designing and suggesting important marketing strategies. Sahar Elroy joins us today. Namaste. Welcome.
Namaste.
So Sahar, let's talk not about the profession that one happens to be in. Let's talk about what is it that we as human beings consider to be the most beautiful aspect of our lives.
I think the most beautiful is just us being here, having this moment, being on this beautiful earth, exploring nature.
Brief, but to the point. So let's talk about exploring the nature as a child. Share some of your early memories of how nature attracted you.
As a child, I grew in a small village in Israel, so I had a lot of exposure to nature. I had a huge garden in my house, and the way to school was full of animals and plants and everything you can imagine on the way. So I remember me and my friends, we used to walk barefoot, and when we came back from school, we eat the fruits of trees on the way. And I had a lot of cats and dogs, and my friend had chickens. And his dad always made him collect the eggs, and he never liked collecting the eggs, so I would go. So I would always go and ask him to collect the eggs instead of him. So for me, it was a very special time that I did not even realize how special until I moved to the city. Until I started traveling the world, and I started traveling big cities. I always wanted to be in the big city, and when I got to the big city, I really missed nature. And when I got to the big city and I started creating my work in photography, in fashion, in any aspect of design that I'm doing, I started drawing a lot of my inspiration from nature that I missed because there is not much nature in the city.
So, creatively, nature indeed is inspiring, but then technology or tools of technology like camera, computer, and number of things are also supporting creative artists. Do you see they complement each other, or sometimes there is a conflict between technology and nature for a creative being?
I think that they're supporting each other very well because, for example, when I started drawing and sketching, I used to waste a lot of paper. And then at some point I got an iPad and I started drawing on the iPad, and I saved so much paper. It's good for the environment, and it's a great tool for me. It's much quicker and much easier to work with. On the other hand, in photography, for example, I'm still shooting with stills camera with film camera, analogic film camera from back in the days.
And why is that? Everybody is going digital, especially the film camera. Many of the kids might have not even seen that there is something like film camera that existed just a few years ago. So now it is difficult to get the films and get it developed, etc., or it works out fine.
It's pretty expensive and difficult, and you need to really find the place. I remember even when I was a kid, you used to have everywhere to develop your film. Today is only places who specialize in that.
And why is your preference for the film camera?
I think something about film camera is you need to think more. You don't have, in digital camera, you can take 1,000 photos and then choose one good. So you don't need to think, you just take a lot of pictures. And when you have a film camera, you only have 36 pictures in your roll, and each one to develop is a lot of money, and it's a lot of effort to make the picture, take it out of the camera. So you think more, you look at the light, you think of the composition, you need to strain the camera and think about everything that gets in your frame. So it's much more meaningful, and every picture you take, you thought about it for a while.
So what you say tells me that being thoughtful is important for a creative person, and technology, when offers abundance, and abundance in terms of the possibility that you take picture, you delete it, you take thousands of pictures, then you are not being respectful to what you are doing. Is that correct way of looking at it?
Yes. I think if you use technology to your advantage and it's just your tool to do whatever you do and respect it and get help from these tools and not make them the main idea. Because sometimes when you make them the main idea, you lose your creativity and you lose your respect towards what you're doing, because you can do as much as you want, or you can take as many pictures as you want. So exactly as you were saying, you lose a sense of respect to things.
You studied at the fashion designing school, which is among top 6 in the world. So what you were learning from nature as a child creatively and what you were learning in the classrooms, of course there were two different ways of absorbing education and learning. Talk to me about what you feel added to your perception by doing the course.
I think that first of all, fashion school taught me how to technically do a lot of things and get your dreams and big ideas into actual real life. But I think in both ways, as my respect and love to nature also helped me use natural fabrics and natural dyes and things that today I understand that are much more responsible to use as sustainable to today's world, that we're trying to keep it healthy and be respectful to our planet. And in fashion school, they don't teach you this today. You don't have anything about nature or sustainability or your connection with nature. So I think in both ways, one really supported each other.
Fashion school, let us say if there are 30 students in a class, each one, boy or girl, would have a different way of processing what is being taught and coming up with different designs. So that part which is distinct for each student gave you the ability to come up with some design which brought Diesel Award for you. Talk to us a little bit about the process and how important it was in terms of when it was declared that so many students participated or were contesting for the challenge given by Diesel, and it came to you.
Yeah, a few years back when I was in college, Renzo Rosso, who is he's the owner and he's the one who founded Diesel. He sent us a package to the fashion school with just raw denim and saying each student can do whatever he wants. And I'm going to come to your class in about a month and decide what I like. So I was thinking, what am I going to do? What do I want to do? I was exploring methods of deconstructing materials and finding new materials and trying to create something new. And I started collecting a lot of leftovers from jeans companies and from jeans factories and just tear them apart to threads. And I ended up with piles of threads in my apartment, and all my friends were stealing my apartments and taking out thread by thread. And I created a new fabric out of it. I dyed some of it and ironed it, and I had a whole process doing it. And ended up with like remains of jeans fabric or something.
So that must have been a moment of great pride for you when ultimately the result was announced. Do you have any memory of how you reacted to this announcement?
I was very surprised. It was like a big compliment for myself, and I was very devoted to what I was doing. So I really felt like it was worth the 1 month of no sleep. And it was very exciting for me. They invited me to Milan Fashion Week to be a guest at Diesel Black Gold fashion show, and also to the company headquarters, and they offered me a job, and they all really liked my work. It was very good to know.
Congratulations. Getting a job is important, but at the same time being who you are is more important. Sahar, how you decided to move towards finding a way whereby your creativity would help real estate companies, and your family also have the tradition of real estate. So as a creative consultant, how do you see you add value to real estate?
Actually, I started as having my own fashion company, and I did all the branding and all the marketing myself. And some people that know me, and they had, one of them had a real estate company that he just started, and he didn't understand much in the creative world, and he's just, can you please be my consultant and help me build my brand and build my logo and build my strategy and find how do I approach my customers. And that was my first time doing this for real estate. And because I come from a family of real estate, and I also studied some real estate development, I can understand both sides. One is the creative dreaming side, and the other side is the actual business. So I think that's kind of a balance when you know both sides, because in real estate a lot of people are the developers. They're the mind behind the, let's say, the numbers. It's a lot of numbers, very technical stuff. And when it comes to creating a brand, an identity of your brand, and approaching your customers and getting a market strategy and transform it into actual visuals, then some people have a problem. I think that's when they started coming to me, and then
you started helping them?
Yeah, started helping them.
So there are two questions on this way. One, staying focused creatively is demanding. Many times people get distracted, and especially in this age when technology offers so many options. So having a consistent focus on the chosen task and being creative at the same time, that comes natural to you, or you have kind of developed certain practices which helps you in staying focused?
It's never easy. Obviously, life today are very tempting and very distracting, and a lot of things happening in your life. But first of all, it's my escape. When I want to escape, I go and I draw and I create and I think about new concepts and new ideas. And also, second of all, I develop my own practice. I do yoga and meditation, and I read and I draw a lot of things, and I go outside and take pictures and when I need to calm down and just stay focused. So it's a lot of practice to stay in your own zone.
It's a lot of practice to stay in your own zone, and especially even in terms of the medium that is available creatively for Sahar, Elroy. You could go for camera, you could draw, you are also a graphic designer. So graphic designing and fashion designing, they to a layman are quite different, or there is a common space between the two?
I think in designing in general, when you know how to get your inspiration and transform it into visuals, you just need to have the practical skill. In terms of fashion, you need to know how to sew and make it into a garment. In terms of graphic design, you need to know how to use the software and approach the software. So they're different, but they're quite similar.
So when you moved to different countries for visiting them, creatively, how that added something to your vision and the kind of ideas that you would see are becoming available to you. So to sum it up, does traveling help in sustaining your optimum level of creativity?
Traveling, yeah, it does do that, and also opens new doors for you because you get to meet new people and see new cultures and find new landscapes that you've never seen before. So for me, traveling is a way of always evolving and always get better in what I do and understand more people and see more cultures and see more colors and see more animals. Luckily for me, I can do it, and I love traveling.
Let us go to India with you, and I believe you went for your India visit thinking that you'll be there for 1 or 2 weeks, and then it became 6 weeks. So what was it about India that appealed to you?
I think India was so fascinating for me because everywhere I went, I found new things, new cultures. It's not just one culture. It's so many and so many languages and so many colors, and you go from one area to another and it's like a whole other universe. You just it's a different colors that you see on the street and different costumes that people wear and different practice of your belief. So for me, India was charming in this way, and I'm dying to go again.
And you interestingly have seen 3 different sides of India. You were in Goa, you were in Himalaya, you were in Rajasthan. So totally different. Talk to me separately. Let's start with Rajasthan. I come from Jodhpur. So how was your experience of seeing the desert there and the folk singers? Probably you also heard them.
For me, being in the desert, it took me a few days to get used to the weather and the dust. Mm-hmm. But after a few days, I started exploring the area, going around where I was, and I took a bike with my friend, and we went to travel in the desert. And you see people living there, and the climate are pretty tough.
Correct.
So it was very interesting to see the people and to see the culture, and everything happens in the middle of the desert.
And the way you would say when you are exposed to different cultures in India, was there anything which you felt was a little bit new from your point of view?
Everything about India was new for me. from the food to the people to the religion. Everything is so different than everything I know. So for me, I was just going into the market in the morning and seeing the people pray in the morning, and then they would explain to me about what they were doing. So I got introduced with some of the religion practice, and I tried learning to speak, but couldn't really manage. And I fell in love with the Indian food.
So if you fell in love with Indian food, then let us go towards your love that has sustained you creatively, and talk about your inspiration or your role model, anyone whose work you have admired most or whose presence has helped you in exploring who you are.
There is a fashion designer. Her name is Phoebe Philo. Until not so long ago, she used to be the head designer at Celine. And as a child, I remember I always watched her fashion shows. And the way she translated feminism and created an image of the modern woman, which is on the one hand is very masculine and strong, but on the other hand very feminine and soft, and the balance between them was always for me very fascinating. So her work, she always she is the one made me go to fashion school.
Oh, I see. So this makes me ask you, many times people look at their artwork as a kind of statement, or many times the general ways that you said, it is the inner beauty that is expressed. Whatever be the form or medium that we are referring to, these two categories many times come. You are making a statement or you're just being yourself. In your case, what would you say?
I'm first of all expressing my inner world outside. But when it comes to sending a message, I'm trying to be as sustainable as I can and going towards sustainability. That is a growing market, and you got growing opportunities. And more people are aware of that. And for me, it's very important to keep this planet as healthy as we can and not be so violent to our nature. So whenever I can, that's my agenda.
So environment friendly, and that also is related to your love for nature directly. Now let us talk about your work in the context of the pressure that marketing forces may have at times, and you are not free to express as you would like. You have to design it and structure it in a way as is demanded by the market, especially when we were talking about branding. And as creative consultant, when you are thinking about ideas to strengthen the brand image, talk to me about various dimensions that you consider to make it most effective that you can.
I think when it comes to branding and marketing, it's more about helping my client and understanding his own mind. Usually is talking a lot and making a lot of mood boards that have a lot of images that can help my client understand what he wants in terms of visual. Because most of the time you have a customer and you have an idea and you want to sell it, but you don't know how you want it to look or feel. So it's less about my own opinion and my own expression. It's more about understanding the other side and helping them translate their ideas into creative, into branding, into the logo, into getting to their consumer. So it's more about helping the other side than doing what I like or what I want.
Creative consultant Elroy, what is your dream? Where would you like to go? Do you see that way a life that I would like to be there 10 years from now, or you prefer to stay in the moment, not bothering about the future?
I prefer staying in the moment, but I would like in 10 years from now to influence people and make them have better life and better understanding of the world and a better planet.
Wonderful. So we are hopeful that there are creative beings like Sahar Elroy who look forward to help us connect with the world in a better way, and indeed live in an eco-friendly manner too, is her undercurrent statement through her work, where you have expansion, vastness, clarity, and a lot of nature. May we stay focused beyond distractions towards the truth of our being and continue to resonate with nature and celebrate our life with happiness. Wishing her a lot of happiness.
Thank you so much.
And wishing lots of happiness for you as well. This is Ashok Vyas.